We're diving into one of those stories. A tangled emotional triangle that involves rising star Aaron Pierre, multi-talented artist Teyana Taylor, and former NBA player Iman Shumpert. But here's where it gets real. It's not Aaron or Teyana making headlines right now. It's Aaron's ex-girlfriend, who, according to sources close to the situation, is allegedly speaking out and directing her frustration at Iman Shumpert for a relationship that ended before it even had the chance to flourish. It all seemed so picture-perfect. Teyana Taylor, freshly separated from Iman after years of building a public image of strong black love, suddenly starts appearing in the same spaces as Aaron Pierre. Whispers start, glances become clues, and soon the blogs connect the dots. Is this Teyana's new man? Is Aaron the next chapter in her life after Iman? At first, it seemed innocent, then intentional, and then, suddenly, nothing. No confirmation, no denial, just a noticeable shift in energy. But before the silence, there was something real. Sources close to both parties claim Teyana and Aaron were exploring something sincere. Not just casual linking, real connection, real potential. But like so many stories in Hollywood, this one never got the ending it deserved. Because according to people in Aaron's circle, something or someone was always in the way. And that someone, many now believe, was Iman Shumpert. Now, let's be honest. Co-parenting is complicated, especially when it involves fame, history, and children. Iman and Teyana were once one of the most beloved celebrity couples in the culture. They had all: chemistry, creativity, a beautiful family, and a brand rooted in loyalty. Even when rumors of cheating surfaced, Teyana defended him. When the separation was made public, it was peaceful, at least on the surface. Teyana wrote in her now viral Instagram post that she and Iman had been separated for a while and were focused on maintaining a healthy friendship and parenting relationship. But that's where the gap lies between what was posted and what was really happening behind the scenes. According to several insiders, Iman never truly let go. While the marriage may have ended, his presence never left Teyana's life. Sources say he continued showing up at events, calling late at night, and inserting himself into conversations and spaces where he wasn't necessarily needed. And for Aaron Pierre, that became a problem. Imagine being Aaron, rising career, private by nature, and finally finding a connection with a woman you respect. Only to realize over time that her past is not just lingering, it's alive. Iman wasn't just a co-parent. He was allegedly emotionally hovering. Not interfering directly, but never fully stepping back either. A kind of passive dominance. The kind of presence that isn't loud, but is impossible to ignore. And Aaron's ex? She saw it coming. According to people close to her, she'd been quietly watching the story unfold from the background. Their own relationship had ended months before Teyana entered the picture. It wasn't dramatic. There were no public blow-ups. But it was painful. Two people separating due to timing, careers, and growing apart. Yet, she still cared for Aaron. And seeing him struggle with something that wasn't his fault reportedly moved her to speak out. Not to Aaron, not to Teyana, but to Iman Shumpert. Now, she didn't go public. She didn't write a tweet or go on Instagram Live. She allegedly reached out through mutual friends, trusted contacts, people who knew Iman personally. The message? Calm, direct, but sharp. She allegedly said, "You had your time. You had the marriage. You had the spotlight. And you walked away. But if you've truly moved on, then move all the way on. Don't let your presence block what's trying to grow in her life now." That line, "Don't let your presence block what's trying to grow," has been echoing behind the scenes. To be clear, no one's saying Iman intentionally sabotaged Teyana and Aaron's relationship. There are no reports of direct interference or drama. But emotional presence is powerful. And according to those close to the situation, that presence was heavy. Heavy enough that Aaron started pulling away. He didn't want to feel like a rebound. He didn't want to compete with the ghost of a marriage that never fully ended. And the more time he spent around Teyana, the more he felt like he was stepping into someone else's unresolved narrative. That's when the relationship quietly ended. No announcement, no headlines, just distance, a few missed events, a red carpet moment that didn't happen, and silence. Now, people are asking, what happened? Was it timing? Was it Teyana still healing? Or was it, as Aaron's ex believes, Iman's lingering influence that pushed everything off course? Let's consider the psychology here.